Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Sleek Brows course in Orange County. My name is Brittany, and I'm just going to give you guys a little bit of information about myself and just kind of introduce myself, and then we'll go around the room and introduce yourselves as well. So I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. So my name is Brittany. I'm the owner of Infinite Beauty Concepts over here in Aliso Viejo. And I became a sleek brow educator almost 6 months ago now, so I really enjoyed doing sleek brow. I'm all over the Orange County region, so if you guys had any questions or problems or concerns or anything at all that you would want to ask me, you could always stop by my studio or email me or give me a call. I'd be more than happy to come over to you. I really got into sleek brow because sleek brow brow extensions in general were something I had been very interested in for the past couple years. I've been kind of messing around and playing around with brow extensions, and I just really fell in love with the idea of having a two-part system, which we'll get into in a couple of minutes. But Sleek Brow really is a very different company that I had never seen before in the industry, and that's because there is nothing like it on the market. So I really enjoyed learning the technique, and it really did change my business for the better. A lot of my clients have switched over from lashes and become not only a lash client but a lash and brow client, and it's really brought my service sales up. My whole studio is thriving because of Sleek Brow. So I really just loved the service so much. I wanted to take it to that next level and be able to train other people how to do this service. So again, let's go around the room and introduce ourselves. All right, thank you. That was so nice of you guys to introduce yourselves. I'm really excited to get to know all of you for the rest of the weekend, since we'll be spending so much time together, and we'll definitely get to know each other a little bit more as the day goes on. But for now, let's get into our theory section. If you guys wouldn't mind, go ahead and grab your manual right there in front of you. It should be next to your kits. And we'll just start with the first page, and we'll kind of just go through the entire manual together, and then we can do some hands-on practice right before lunch. So if you open up to the first page, again, I am streaming it up here, so if you are lost at any moment, you can always just check and see if we're on the right page. So just to begin with a little bit of history on Sleek. So Sleek Brows was developed after more than 2 years of intensive research. The directors, Monica and Kintia, through their work as lash artists, actually realized that there was a huge gap in the market when it came to eyebrows. A lot of their clients were asking them if they could fill in the gaps in their brows. And at first they tried it with lashes, but then realized it needed more than just to use the lashes directly to the hairs. So Sleek Brows differs from any other brow extension companies on the market because it is that two-part system I was talking about before. There's two separate methods that can be used separately on their own, or they can also be used together to create the entire Sleek Brow treatment. So method number one that I'm talking about, it's called building. This is an application of hair on hair, kind of with the same mentality as lash extensions. The individual hair is placed on the client's natural hair. It's closest to the root so that our extension hairs are semi-transparent and they take on the color of the client's natural hair. This ensures an undetectable finish. Our special adhesive is medically formulated with an added rubber for the more flexible finish. The result, it looks and feels more natural. Okay, so the second method that we're talking about is the sculpting paint, which can also be referred to as sculpting gel. So this is to be used directly onto the skin. It's a medical adhesive that's safe for the skin, and we never want to attach the hair directly to the skin because it simply doesn't last. So with the use of this sculpting paint, we can actually apply the hairs directly onto the gel, onto that paint. So you apply it in hair-like strokes to give the appearance of real hair. The sculpting paint is raised from the skin, and it really gives a three-dimensional look at the end, which makes it much more natural, and a lot of times people kind of refer to it as the more filled-in brow look. So that's the two systems we're talking about. We'll go on to the next section, which, what are Sleek Brows? What makes it unique? So Sleek Brows are the only brand that offer two components to the treatment. Brow perfection. The Sleek Brows will totally correct gaps, holes, thinning brows. You really can recreate the shape you've always wanted. It's non-invasive. It's unlike any semi-permanent makeup. Sleek Brows doesn't penetrate the layers of the skin, and it sits on the epidermis. So it's a more favorable option for many people who may not want to do microblading or may not want to do semi-permanent tattoo. It's innovative as well. Sleek Brows is the first and only company to date to launch such a system like this. So really just a great service. And also, eyebrows are such an important feature of one's face. You know, they naturally enhance your beauty. Another key component of Sleek Brows is that they're waterproof. So that's a really huge and amazing selling point to your clients, because although we say to avoid the water for 48 hours, you can resume normal activities after that time, including swimming, and the brows will stay exactly where they're meant to be. So you're never going to have to worry about your client, you know, going on vacation to Hawaii and worrying about their brows coming off, whereas we do have to worry about things like that with lashes. So this is a really great service for really all different types of people. And another thing is that it's smudge proof. So unlike generic brow cosmetics like powders and pencils, Sleek Brows won't smudge or move at all. They'll stay in place. And tinting, you know, we know in the state of California now that tinting has been banned. We are not allowed to perform that service anymore. It is illegal, so we don't have that as an option for our clients, but this is a really great service to move your tinting clients into, because not only were your tinting clients probably a $25 to $30 range service client, now they're moving into a service that's between $75 and $155, and they will pay it because it is such a better service than what tinting was. Because if your client has very light blonde hair, you can choose to make their sculpting paint the color that they would like to make their brows stand out. So definitely a great option for all of your clients that were into tinting before. Also, in this course, you're going to learn threading. We teach you the art of threading, the most natural hair of removal technique. So really, it was one of the first hair removal techniques ever to date, and now we're still using it. We're still using it now, and we're using it with no products involved really besides the actual thread itself, which is appealing to a lot of people who may have reactions to certain waxes. This is a really great service to learn for a lot of your clients, just to be able to add. Alright, so now we're going to play a little game. Up here I have it streaming, and it says, can you guess which technique was used? So now that I've kind of explained to you exactly what the different techniques are, and that you can use them separately or together, why don't you go ahead and guess what you think was being used in these photos? Okay, go ahead.
I would probably think building and sculpting, because it looks pretty dark, and it also looks like there's a couple hairs towards the front that are kind of flaring out in a way.
Right. Good job. Good job. It is. Alright, so let's move on to the next one. Can you guess what was used in this one? Good job on those. So let's just talk a little bit about what Sleek Brows can do. So how can Sleek Brows help you? So it has a natural brow improvement. As you can see in the photo up there, the person before has pretty semi-full brows. They're not that bad, but she's missing a lot on the outer rim over here, and she's missing kind of an arch, and along with the tail. So we can definitely create that, making it a very natural looking brow, but still giving her the fullness that she would want. A lot of times this is like my number one thing this is my number one client that walks in the door, is somebody who had tattooed their eyebrows on before, and now it is faded. It's been maybe a year or so, and it's faded, and now they're looking to cover up the color that that their tattoo has turned into. Because in the very beginning of the tattoo stages, when you get your eyebrows tattooed, it is that color that you're wanting it to be, but it does fade over time. A lot of times I see a bluish hue to the people who come in with the tattoo eyebrows, and I notice a lot of times they're obviously wanting that covered. So we can definitely cover over that tattoo and make corrections to it. Sometimes people aren't happy with the way their tattoo has come out, so we can definitely go over it and make them how that person would want them to be. So we would never say that Sleek Brow is a growth serum in itself, but it does help natural brow growth because it does have vitamins A, C, and E in it. So as you can see in the photos above, over there, before this person had sleek brows, they really had hardly any brows at all. During the sleek brow treatments, you can see that she started to gain some growth in her, especially her left brow. It looks like she started to gain a lot more growth right there. By the end of her sleek brow treatments, it looks like she had almost grown full length brows. So she was definitely very happy. It's not something we can guarantee to our clients, but it is just something really nice that a lot of our clients have never had any hair there before, and so when they start to see hairs popping out, they're so ecstatic. And it doesn't mean that they're going to stop getting sleek brows, it just means that they're going to be extra happy with their services. And it really does change that mentality, because a lot of times people come in and they think that brow extensions are going to be the same thing as lash extensions and damage their hairs or make their eyebrows fall out, their eyebrow hairs fall out. So a lot of people are very concerned when they walk in the door, and you can just put them at ease. We can also help people without any eyebrows at all. Somebody can walk in your door and they can have absolutely nothing. We would have to get clearance from doctors on working on alopecia patients or cancer patients, but it has definitely been done before. After they're done with chemo or radiation, you would definitely want clearance from a doctor, but it is possible to definitely create eyebrows for somebody who has been through something like that or does have that condition. So people ask me all the time, you know, my students, what do you charge? Obviously you're taking my Orange County course, so we all are in a relatively similar area. We do get away with charging higher amounts over here because we are a little bit more of a wealthy community. Here at my studio we do charge between $75 and $155. My prices may increase as the new year comes around and as my clientele, if I get too booked, then we might keep upping our prices, but as of right now it is $75 for a basic sculpting gel with no added extensions. From there, for every quarter of your extension strip that we use, we add a $25 charge to that. So you can really be making a large amount on your client, obviously them leaving happy, but you're definitely making this worth your time. The treatment can, sorry, pausing. 5, 4, 3, 2. So the treatment time will be anywhere between 25 minutes to 60 minutes. The 25 minutes is just your basic sculpting client. In the very beginning, after you learn today, it may take you longer than 25 minutes. It will probably take you about an hour per treatment. But definitely, as you start to get better at the technique and as you start to really do this on your clients often, you'll notice that your timing is getting a lot better with practice. So you're going to be spending between 25 and 60 minutes with somebody and making between $75 and $155 with somebody. Another thing that's a little bit different about brow extensions or sleek brows versus eyelash extensions is that when you come for eyelash extensions, you're coming every couple weeks and you're getting a fill. So the difference is with brow extensions, we have to completely remove the treatment before starting another one. So that's a really great thing on our end because, as you know, as a lash artist, it is kind of a headache when somebody comes in with a fill, because usually you never know what you're going to see with a fill. So you could be coming in with a full set, but you're still doing it in the fill time. You have a lot of issues. So when it comes to sleek brows, the best part about it is that you're making that $75 to $155 per per time that that client is coming in. Now, sleek brows last about 3 weeks, up to 3 weeks. We've even seen some up to 4 weeks up here in Orange County. So I would say that, you know, if you have a client who's very concerned with the price, that maybe they just make it a once a month thing that they do for themselves. We have a lot of clients that have just made that their budget, just once a month that they come in and get them done, and they enjoy having them, and they slowly fade as time goes on, and then they come in and we completely restart the process. But we also do have a lot of those clients that are coming in very strictly every 2.5 to 3 weeks, and we're seeing great results with those clients. So how did sleek brows evolve? So as you know, through time we've gone through a lot of different trends. Okay, so like in ancient times, as you can follow along with on the computer up there, people used to shave off their brows and draw them on with coal. So this was a thought that they had to ward off evil spirits. So that's definitely something different than what we have today. And back in Greek times, the unibrow was very fashionable. The bigger, the better. So this is an age of the very first eyebrow extensions. So the Greeks would snip the hair from a goat and use the sap from a tree to stick the hair to their own. So this would be able to thicken their unibrow. This was devised some 300 years ago. So that's definitely not in style anymore, as we know, but it definitely was back then. And the Japanese, they would use powder on their faces, pure white, blacken their teeth, color their lips bright red, and shave off their eyebrows, and reposition them higher on their foreheads like two black clouds. So they would be up here in the middle of nowhere, as you can see on those pictures. But that was definitely their style, and today we see that that is no longer a trend of theirs. Alright, and as you can see, as time has gone on, there's definitely been a lot more trends since then with eyebrows. The industry was really born in the 50s, where people really liked that more full look. Definitely a separation with the unibrow. People didn't think that was a trend anymore. They liked that more full defining look. They felt like it would frame their face a little bit more. And then, as you can see, in the 60s, kind of more of a rounded look was born. You can see that they have very high arches and they're very rounded out, which was very in style back then. And then you can see that, for example, Madonna, she went through a phase where she liked her brows very bushy. She barely wanted anybody to touch them, and she had them plucked for the very first time, and they looked so amazing. People just raved about them forever because she just looked so different once they really took care of her brows and cleaned them up. So there's also a science behind eyebrows. They really do frame your face, and as you can see along with the photos up there, somebody doesn't have a true identity without brows. We'll go ahead and look at the next photos as well, but you can see what a difference brows make. Can you guess who that is up there?
Drake?
Drake, yes. But what a difference no brows would make on him, correct? And he would look like a completely different person, and a lot of the times they say that you wouldn't even be able to recognize someone, even if they were someone you were related to. How about this one? Does anyone know who that is?
Cara.
She looks so different, huh?
Yeah.
As we all know, she's definitely known for her eyebrows, so this was a major, study that had shown, wow, what a difference that would make if she didn't have those. Also, we have, who do you think that is?
Justin Bieber.
Yep, that's definitely Justin Bieber. And he looks a whole lot better with some eyebrows, huh? How about him?
Kanye.
Kanye. Yeah, he definitely looks a lot better with his eyebrows on. So now let's move on to face shapes. So as you know, probably if you've been through cosmetology or esthetician school, we've studied face shapes. You've got oval, you've got long, you've got round, you've got square, heart-shaped, and diamond-shaped. So what shape are you going to do of brows depending on their face shape? So we have a little guide. It's also along in your manual. You can find it there. But these are kind of rules of thumb. If you're working on somebody and you're not really quite sure, they don't know what they want, this would be a great way to tell what that person might need and what would look great on them depending on their face shape. And we could go through and study that manual a little bit more in a second. But a great way to always be able to tell what you would like to do with someone's brows is to measure the point right here from the outside of their nose straight up. That would be the starting point of their brow. So if someone comes in with absolutely no brows and you don't know what to do at all, that would be a great way to measure where you're going to start. You're going to take the ending point of their nose and just go straight up from there. Then you're going to take another angle. It's going to be from the edge of your nose right here, and you're going to cross it directly through your iris. And that will lead you to your arch. And where you're going to want to end somebody's brows, which I feel is very important, because a lot of times we're always fixing people's tails because that seems to be where the most hair loss is. So a lot of times we're trying to figure out where do we end their brow. You're going to take the ending of their nose and you're going to measure it straight directly up and along the ending of their eye. And that's going to give you the ending point of where their brow should be. That's also inside your manual as well. So you want to also know your direction. Definitely the shape that we're creating, you're going to want to know where it's starting, where the bulk of it is, and where your tail should be. So if you're looking here along with me at the front, you'll notice that you've got your starting point, the head of your brow, and the head of your brow ends at your tear duct. Then you've got the body of your brow throughout your eye, and right along the edge of your eye, you've got your tail. So you want to know those different directions that you've got to go and where you're shaping your brow. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the brow quad theory, ratio theory. So you've got your natural brow thickness. So the vertical length at the start of the brow and the ideal length should be between 0.4 centimeters and 1 centimeter thick. So also we're going to talk a little bit about length. According to their theory, the start of the brow to the end of the brow, the ideal length would sit between 4.5 centimeters and 5.5 centimeters. So that gives you a little bit of an idea, even if somebody comes in with absolutely no brows. Also, talking a little bit about the start of the brow to the arch of the brow, your ideal length should sit between 3 centimeters and 3.5 centimeters. And the tail length, which is the arch of the brow to the end of the brow, your ideal length will sit between 2 centimeters and 2.5 centimeters. You always want to go with the direction of the hair growth. It seems to be pretty common that your hair grows up in the front at the start of your brow and then goes in the direction of where your brows will end. Your hair begins to grow that direction. But when you are building on top of somebody, when you're adding the brow extensions, you do want to make sure that you're applying those hairs in the direction of their hair growth. New ideal is to have a lot fuller, thicker brows, but still having them natural with a nice slight arch, not making them too low, not too high, just very centered and structured. Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about skin anatomy. So the skin is the largest organ in the body. It covers the entire body. In addition to serving as a protective shield against heat, light, injury, and infection, the skin also regulates body temperature. It stores water and fat. It's a sensory organ. It prevents water loss and it prevents entry of bacteria, and it also assists in absorption and excretion. So throughout the body, the skin's characteristics vary. Throughout the body, the skin's characteristics vary in color, thickness, and texture. So for instance, the head contains more hair follicles than anywhere else, while the soles of the feet contain none. So in addition, the soles of the feet and the palms of the hands are very much thicker. And the skin, it naturally exfoliates itself and produces sebum, which can directly affect the durability of the brows for each person. So definitely when you're speaking with your client, you're going to want to get an idea and do a little bit of a analysis on their skin, just to get an idea of how the brows will work on them and how durable they might be on them, because you may have a client that is extremely dry and their skin exfoliates itself a lot faster than most. So that person may have to come in every 2 weeks or every week and a half to get their eyebrows done, depending on if they have extreme dryness. The skin is made up of the following layers, which they all perform specific functions. You've got your epidermis, your dermis, and your subcutaneous fat layer. And now we'll move into hair structure. So human hair is composed of a strong structural protein called keratin. This is the same kind of protein that makes up the nails and the outer layers of the skin. Each strand of hair consists of 3 layers, and those are, number 1, the innermost layer called the medulla. It only is present in large, thick hair. Then you've got the second one, the middle layer, which is known as the cortex, and the cortex provides strength in both color and texture of hair. And you've got your third, which is the outer layer, known as the cuticle. The cuticle is a thin and colorless, and serves as a protector of the cortex. So those are the three layers of your hair strand. And the structure of that hair root. So below the surface of the skin is the hair root, which is enclosed in the hair follicle. At the base of the hair follicle, it's the dermal papilla. The dermal papilla plays a major role in hair growth because it contains receptors for male hormones and androgens. So androgens regulate hair growth and may cause the hair follicle to get progressively smaller and the hair to become finer in individuals who are genetically predisposed to this type of hair loss. However, remember that your diet, lifestyle, stress levels, and topicals or internal products can directly affect the condition of your hair growth. So you do want to take that into account with your clients. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to the hair growth cycle. Okay. So now we'll move on to the hair growth cycle. So all hair on our body grows in phases. So there are 3 phases that, to be precise, and the only thing that differs from hair on our head and our eyebrows is how long those phases are lasting. So you've got anagen, catagen, telogen, and then anagen again. So anagen is the growth phase. That's each follicle, that can, Okay, so first we have anagen, the growth phase. So each follicle can grow many hairs over a lifetime. The phase of the growth cycle is staggered amongst the follicles. About 40% of follicles are in this stage at any given time, which prevents from periodic phases of baldness when in the growth cycle stops. So how long anagen stage lasts is determined by genetics and varies from one person to another. But in general, you've got 4 to 6 weeks for eyebrows. It's the length of this stage that determines how long the hair will grow. So the fun fact or myth buster is that it's not true that cutting your hair makes your hair grow faster or thicker, nor does shaving your legs to make your hair coarser. The length of the growth phase and width of your hair shaft are the results of your genes. So they're not affected by anything you do to your skin or to the hair shaft itself. And moving on to the second stage, which is catagen, that's the intermediate phase. So it's a short resting phase that allows So next we're moving on to catagen, the intermediate phase. It's a short resting phase that follows the anagen phase. Catagen phase lasts 2 to 3 weeks, during which the follicle stops producing hair. The base of the follicle moves upwards towards the surface of the skin. And now moving on to the third phase, which is the shedding phase, telogen. The telogen phase lasts up to 2 months. During that time, a new hair begins to grow from the hair follicle. And as it grows upwards, the old hair will shed naturally. Hair removal is easily and painlessly done with telogen hairs. So these hairs are hairs that come out when you shampoo your hair or brush your hair. The shedding part is normal. It's a normal process of the replacement of old hair with new hair. Any one time, around 1 in 10 of the follicles in an individual's head are in the shedding phase. So the new hair emerges from the same opening surface of the skin as the old one, and that hair begins as a new hair. And as people age, the hair cycle becomes shorter. This isn't true for everyone, remind you, and it depends kind of on your genes, but the follicles gradually give up producing long, strong hair, and it becomes thinner and shorter more frequently. And this happens to lashes and brows and other parts of the body too as well. Do we have any questions about any of that? No? Okay, perfect. So now moving on to follicles and the growth engine. So each individual hair is formed inside a hair bulb deep in a hair follicle. So that follicle is tiny, but it's a powerful factory. And although some male balding is due to testosterone, there is a growing understanding of the role the follicle plays in other kinds of hair loss, such as female hair thinning, sparse lashes and brows, because a healthy follicle produces nice, strong hair. So if you pull out a hair follicle, another will grow up in its place. Some of you may say, I overplucked my eyebrows and I didn't know any better and now they won't grow back. So what usually happens is that the hair growth is slowed down as the hair is slowly trying to grow back. But some of its regrowth does not look like a part of an eyebrow because it is growing back a little bit different. And we remove it again. So with sleek brows, the treatment we work with, we can really work on these issues by making the brows fuller and advising the customer on the needs to be left to regrow. So a lot of times people want you to remove hairs that don't look right as of right now, but their eyebrows are looking a lot thinner and they do want them to be fuller, so we might just want to leave some of those brows alone for right now and let their brows take the time to really regrow and re-strengthen. Also, we do know that scientists reference that there isn't much environmental damage that can be done to a follicle that would make it stop producing hair. So there would really have to be a severe physical damage, such as burning or scarring, to achieve the damaging of a follicle. So growth can be slowed, but eventually it is resumed with the help of reconstructing treatments such as sleek brows or the use of regrowth serums to ensure that those brows do start to regrow back. And also healthy diet and lifestyle can be a very life-changing effect on people's eyebrows as well. And now let's move on to hygiene. So disinfection and hygiene, who are we protecting? So really, infections caught as a result of beauty treatments are extremely rare. However, that potential is there, and it is good practice that we do everything we can to lower that risk of cross-infection. The most common source of infection in a salon is the client, but staff and visitors can also be infected into the salon. So it's important to control the infection and not allow it to be transmitted from person to person. People with active diseases should not be treated, and staff with obvious diseases should not be treating clients. So what are we protecting against? We're protecting against bacteria, and we're protecting against viruses. So bacteria, as we all know, are single cell. Okay, so the vegetative form of bacteria, single cells, are easily killed by application of moisture or chemicals, but spores are much more resistant. So there's a wide range of bacteria. Some bacteria live inside the body and are harmless unless they are transmitted outside of their original environment, but most bacterial infections can be successfully treated with antibiotics. Viruses, which are, as we know, minute particles that can only be reproduced in a living cell. So they can mute, and viruses, which we know are minute particles that can only be reproduced within a living cell. So they can mutate to form a new strain. So viral infections cause much more concern in a beauty salon, specifically bloodborne, that cause hepatitis B, hepatitis C, or HIV. Those are not treatable by antibiotics. So we definitely want to know what's going on with our clients, and we definitely want to be very cautious on what we're protecting ourselves. Okay, now we'll move on to eyesight and focus. For an eyebrow therapist, the most important aspect of the profession is the ability to stay focused for a long time. You also need to have good eyesight, and if you don't, you need to be equipped with those implements to make sure that you do. And we definitely know this is of utmost importance because this job does require precision. So you ought to see what you're doing, and you need to know and be able to be focused on smaller objects for a long period of time. So your eyes can become tired after a few hours of intense work, and your results may become kind of blurry, and you just want to make sure that you're able to restore and refocus, look away and refocus your eyesight on the furthest object of the room, and then relax, close your eyes for a couple minutes and refocus. I know with eyelash extensions, most of you in here are eyelash artists, and we know this. As the day goes on, your eyes just get so tired and they start to get blurry. Looking away at the farthest object in the room, focusing on it, and then looking back, taking a couple seconds in between clients to really refocus your eyes is very important. Also, I notice what helps me in between clients is putting some eye drops in my eyes. It really helps to moisturize my eyes, and it helps me get refocused and revamped for that next client. Now let's move on to posture, because we do definitely want to talk about how we're going to take care of ourselves as lash artists or brow artists. Posture is very important. As you know, we work on other people all day, and a lot of times we're so focused on other people, making them happy, providing a great service and a great experience, that we're not really taking care of ourselves. So definitely want to make sure we're using that correct posture. Due to the nature of our work, it's important to maintain that correct posture at all times. Healthier standing, sitting, and sleeping habits will reduce neck, head, and back ache, pinched nerves, arm and shoulder pain, insomnia, and mental fatigue. So identify a good posture. Good posture is nothing more than keeping your body in alignment. Good posture will always be standing with your back straight, squared shoulders, and your chin up with your chest out and your stomach in. So if you can draw a straight line from your earlobe through your shoulder to your hip, to your knee, to the back of your ankle, you've got it. So try to find yours. If you use a mirror, You can align your ears, shoulders, hips, and all the way down to your ankles. The proper alignment takes place in your ears, loosely above your shoulders and above your hips. Again, these are points to make a straight line, but the spine itself, of course, curves like a slight S. So you'll find that it doesn't hurt at all, but if you do experience any pain, look at your side view mirror and see if you're forcing your back into an unnatural position. If you do not have any pain, then your posture should not be altered at all, and you're good to go. Okay, so the spine has two natural curves that you need to maintain called double C's or S curves. These curves of the back are also called the lordic and no, I'm not even gonna go over that. F that shit. Sorry. Okay, so next you're gonna want to train your muscles to do the work. So exercises that strengthen your muscles across your upper back and shoulders will help you to maintain good posture. You do not need to develop a bodybuilder physique. It's more important to build muscle memory so that you are unconsciously and naturally maintaining correct posture without fatigue. That way. Okay, so next let's move on to contraindications. So before you start the treatment, it's definitely an important aspect to determine if the client is suitable for the eyebrow treatment. This can be done through a visual inspection and completion of the client record card. So when the client arrives before their treatment, you definitely want to make sure that you're doing that consultation and you're able to observe the client's eyes thoroughly. To help you, we've highlighted 3 main points to make sure that you should complete this with each client, and you can follow along with us on your manual. 1, begin by making sure that performing the treatment of 3D brows will not harmful or worsen any condition that your client may already have. You will be unable to carry out the treatment if the client says that they have any of these conditions below. So hypersensitive skin, if they have a rash or sunburn. If they have dermatitis or inflamed skin. If they have active severe acne. Any open skin lesions. A recent skin resurfacing treatment such as microdermabrasion or a chemical peel. And you want to look for undiagnosed lumps or abnormal conditions around the eyebrow area. We know we're not doctors, but we definitely know when something doesn't look right, and we can always just, to save ourselves and our client, we can always just refer them to a doctor to make sure that they're okay to get them cleared. Next, you want to question the client about any recent medical conditions or treatments they've done recently that may affect that treatment area. That could include recent eyebrow tattooing. If you're not sure whether the client's condition will be suitable for the treatment, you want to make sure to get them checked out, as said before, and then go on with the treatment after they've been cleared by a doctor. So you definitely want to make sure that you have a consultation card. Do any of you have consultation cards for your clients?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. It's definitely an important thing to have. That way you have on record what their problems, concerns, issues were, the date that they came in. You want to make sure to take a look at it and look at anything that could possibly, need to be looked at or thought about before you proceed with the treatment. Also, it's great to do a patch test on your client if you are a little concerned. If you know it's not going to, of course, be something completely wrong, but they would like a test patch before. I know with eyelash extensions we do that before we proceed with the treatment. We do a test patch just to make sure that the client is 100% going to be okay with the extensions. So that is a really great procedure to put in place in your Solana system, that you require that patch test, before the treatment. And always make a record of the test and make sure that all of your waivers and your liability waivers, are up to date and signed before the client does sit in that chair and does proceed with treatment. You definitely want to not only save yourself but the client from any problems or issues that could arise if they didn't sign a waiver from you or if you didn't take a consultation card with them. Let's get to threading. I'm excited about this. Let's see, we'll do step by step. So I'll have you guys grab it out of your kits and just follow along. So you'll want to, this is going to be the mouth technique. You'll want to, I'm going to have you guys listen to what I'm saying and do what I'm instructing you to by word, and then I'm going to come over and watch each of you do it and give you one-on-one practice with myself next to you, okay? So just go ahead and just practice. I know nobody's going to do it right, but this is just for fun. So unreel some of the thread from your cotton spool and place the end in your mouth, making sure it's tightly secure in your teeth. Okay, perfect. And now use your right hand, approximately 24 inches of thread away from the spoolie to create a loop. Okay, good job. And now secure the spool of cotton in your left hand by wrapping the thread around your fingers. Okay, good job. And turn the loop around 8 times to create an X in the center. Alright, and then open your fingers on your right to tighten the X and use the knotting motion to move the X closer to your right and to perform the same motion again if you're fully comfortable doing it. Okay, good job. Okay, so now you'll move the wound section towards the hair against the hair growth. So you'll see that the hairs will actually get caught in that section as you glide across. So using this method describes So using this method will definitely create the chosen shape or design that you're wanting to achieve and that your client is wanting to achieve. Thread the top of the eyebrow, underneath, and the area in between the eyebrows. You can also remove any unsightly facial hair and make sure that the eyebrow area looks very clean and defined, and that's what I love most about threading. And so now I'm just going to go through with you guys what it looks like, what the entire sleek brow procedure looks like. So first we're going to take our, okay. Should I grab the kit and like?
We'll do it. You just like show it.
Yeah. So first we're going to start with the tea tree cleanser. You guys can follow along and grab everything out of your kit as we go along just so you can get an idea of what I'm talking about. So you're going to take your tea tree cleanser and you're going to apply this to the skin, making sure that you're cleaning off any area of the brows, removing any sort of makeup that the client might have on or any sort of oils or anything, and just getting the eyebrows squeaky clean. And next you're going to thread the brows. You're going to want to make sure, it says rub, exfoliate. I don't know why it says that, because that's not what we do. Okay, so secondly, you're going to want to grab your exfoliant out, and you can use your foam tip swabs inside your kit as well to apply the exfoliant. This will make sure that it basically dries out any area and it exfoliates off any of that skin that's almost ready to come off, and you're just making sure you're starting with fresh new skin, exfoliated skin with the sleek brow. So you just want to make sure that you're starting with a clean surface. And next you're going to want to get acquainted with your scissors, and you're gonna wanna trim. You can trim the brows before the treatment, or you can trim them after as well, because if you're building, you're gonna need them anyways to trim. So if you need to leave some hairs there, you can do so, but now would be the time to use them if there's some definite ones you need to trim. We don't do tinting, obviously, in the state of California, so that would be a step we would skip. But you would definitely now move to threading. You're gonna wanna thread the entire brow to make sure you're defining and getting that shape and clear surface that you're gonna want with your sleek brows. But you might need to use those tweezers after if you can't get everything just yet, because you guys are gonna be learning threading today. So if you don't feel comfortable getting too close and defining those lines too well, it's okay to use your tweezers. But after you get used to threading, you're not gonna need to use your tweezers as much anymore. Next, you're going to move on to the building and sculpting. So I know that you guys are all eager to learn how to build and sculpt. You're gonna wanna grab out your black gel, your clear gel, and your soft gel. And those will be the base that will be in your sculpting gels. And you've got your powders in there in your kit as well. You've got 3 different ones. In your kits you will have a blonde, a dark brown, and a medium brown. And these 6 products will be what makes your sculpting gel. So that will create that color that you're wanting, that you're going to apply in hair-like strokes, and will give you the base you need for the building. Next, you'll have your building, which will be the flexible brow adhesive. You'll use that in use with your extensions as well, which we have multiple colors of. We have our dark brown, our medium brown, and our blonde, or our black, depending on which kit you have. And one thing I forgot to mention, you do have this tin that is full of your tools that you will use to apply the sculpting gel. Also, something that's a little bit different with Sleek Brow is the tweezer that we use with application of the eyebrow extensions. It's a backwards tweezer for us. It's a little bit different if we're lash artists. What's really nice about it is it removes all the tension off of your hands. You open up the tweezer to grab the hair, and once you grab it, you can let it go and that hair won't move, which is really nice because these hairs are a lot thinner than we're used to working with, so you can kind of lose them every once. You've also got your glue rings, which you will apply, you will put the sculpting gel in, and this is what you'll use. You don't need to buy multiple glue rings, you just need to buy the fillers. So as long as you're keeping the rings, you can put the little fillers inside of it, and you just dispose of those after. But make sure you're cleaning these after you use them with each client. And then you have your gold ring. Your gold ring you will apply medical tape to at the top, and that's what you will use with your flexible brow adhesive to make sure that you're getting the adhesive on the eyebrow extension. This will make it a clean, easy way for you to apply the eyebrow extensions without any hassle, and you just take the tape off and throw it away after. So it's very easy cleanup, and your setup looks awesome for your client, and all the products look really great, and there's a very great product line to be proud of when you're having your client come in. The setup looks amazing, and all of the tools and everything are really awesome. So, and the last but not least, you've got your brow remover. So every time your client comes back to you, you're going to remove completely with your brow remover and restart the process completely. And you will start with step 1 again, which is the cleanser. So that's what's in your kit, and now I want to get started with some hands-on. Let's go ahead and try threading.